Welcome to My Time to Shine. I'm your host, Emily.
Hi.
Hi.
Good morning. Welcome to the show, Susan.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. How are you today?
All is good, thank you. Yes, it's been a good day so far.
Oh, amazing. Could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So I'm Jen. I met you. We were both in Saudi, weren't we? Working as coaches. Can you believe that's like more than about 10 years ago now, or 12 years ago? Yes. So that's where I met myself. I've been working in the health and wellness industry for 25 years now. Started in London doing group fitness and then progressed into Pilates, personal training. Went from London to Saudi to do the same thing. And I've recently relocated back to my hometown in Essex, where I am currently sort of re-establishing myself, setting up my business here, and just spending some overdue quality time with the family.
Oh, it's much needed, isn't it? So you were in Saudi for 10 years.
Yes.
Wow, and did you come home at all during that time?
Yes, so I was coming back and forth,
Yeah.
yeah, patients and that, but no, sorry. I did have between contracts when we finished at New Year, I had 8 months off and I came home and that was lovely. Never had a break in my whole working life.
Wow.
I just again spent time with the family, and while I was here, one of my clients that I used to train, not even regularly in Saudi, invited me back to be a personal trainer for her family.
Oh,
So then I went back for a further 8 years.
fantastic.
Mm.
Goodness me. What got you started originally in the fitness industry? Is that something you've done your whole life? Like, were you athletic as a child?
Yes, very athletic as a child. Me and my two brothers, we've always done sports, etc. Um, but I actually, from school, I went to college to study beauty therapy.
Oh,
I don't really know why I did that. I think maybe it was one of those things that everyone was kind of doing it. So I sort of thought, okay, I'll do that for a while. Uh, Past that, and I was working in London. That's what I moved into London for. But I only did that for a couple of years. Um, Really, it just wasn't for me. And then during that time, sort of thought, what else would I like to do? And I remembered how much I liked exercise and fitness. So I did my first RSA qualification, but then didn't do anything with it for about 4 or 5 years. And then came out of beauty, came home because my brother had a terrible accident, and then went back to London. Thought, well, I'm definitely not doing beauty now. Had that whole, your life is so short, you got to make the most of it, and just started in fitness. Sent out my CV, which had nothing on it, but I hadn't done anything. But, yeah, got some cover classes, started working, basically.
goodness me. So, do you think you were stuck in procrastination before that, accident with your brother? Do you think you were like, what was your thoughts on, am I ever going to work in the fitness industry? Or were you like, no?
What it was, I knew that I wasn't happy in that work.
Mm,
And the whole thing was only 3 years from when I came into it and left. And then
yeah.
when Joe had his accident, I had actually left. I was working at Harvey Nichols, darling.
Oh, darling.
I had there, and I was doing sort of, what would you call it, like agency work for beauty therapy
Yeah.
while I was figuring out what I was going to do. But I only did that for a few months, and then I left London anyway because I had to come home.
Gosh, I see. And then since you've been in the fitness industry then, so your total, experience in that is 25 years.
Yeah, long time.
Oh,
It's very old, Emily.
girlfriend. How old are you? Let our listeners know.
I am 52, just turned 52.
No way. And you have the energy of an 18-year-old. You are so energetic. What's your secret?
um, I wouldn't say I have the energy of an 18-year-old. I do feel stronger and fitter than I did in my mid 20s for sure.
Wow.
And well, I've not had any children. I do think this is a big thing. Even though I have children in my life, I've not actually given birth because it is, quite draining physically, mentally, and spiritually, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um, but I also think I do take care of myself, and I do all the things. I walk regularly, I train regularly, I eat well. As I've become older as well, I've really um, got more into self-development and mindfulness and, staying away from toxic people, toxic situations and breathing. Breathing always helps for everyone. And, yeah, sort of that sort of thing, really.
Do you have any daily routines that you do?
Um, what do I do? Yes, I do a little bit of sort of these things. So it might not be this today, but I'll do that tomorrow. So I walk every day. I do my hot water and lemon. I do my affirmations in the morning. Every time I wake up, I'm like, oh, thank you for that wonderful sleep. Thank God I woke up because, a majority of people, including my mum, pass away in their sleep. So the fact that you wake up the next morning, is something to be thankful for.
Yes.
Yeah, really, those sort of things is what I do most mornings. Yes.
I think they're the really important things that people they kind of take for granted, really. Like it is a blessing to wake up in the morning.
And have a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
So many people. I don't know if you remember Anne, who was with us
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Botswana. I remember us having a conversation. She's a chronic insomniac. You
Wow.
know, I was saying to my brother yesterday, like if she has 4 hours sleep a night, that's a good night for her.
Goodness
Like,
me.
thank goodness I always sleep well. The only time I don't is if I'm really, really stressed, which thankfully is, rare. So yeah, like you say, those things we take for granted, a lot of people don't have.
That's it. That is the key to happiness, I think. No matter what's happening in your life, waking up, having a good night's sleep, having the ability to breathe your own air, moving your body, these really simple things are really overlooked.
My brother is paraplegic. So every morning when I walk, I'm like, oh, thank you for my strong legs that I can walk because he can't, and it's such a simple thing, but a lot of us, like you say, just take it all for granted. So yeah, they're generally my morning routines. And then when I've done all that, a nice cup of coffee,
I love a good cup of coffee. How do you have it?
a little bit of milk and sugar.
Oh yeah. Delicious. I think I'm a bit of a coffee addict myself.
I remember you were though, when you love the coffee in Saudi.
Honestly, oh my gosh, especially the Turkish coffee, that is another level. Have you ever
Oh,
tried that? Yeah.
wrong thing. No, that is too much.
Too much coffee. Oh gosh. I think we all have our vices, don't we? Do you ever have some, downtime? Do you ever eat processed food? Do you drink alcohol?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Like this, for instance, this morning I was just making my eggs and cottage cheese, what I tend to have in the morning.
Yeah.
And because I'm living with my brother at the moment, so there's much more processed food around,
Yeah.
which on my own I just don't buy that stuff, but it's here. And I had my eggs and cottage cheese, and there was crumpets on the side, and I had a crumpet.
No, did you? Did you have
Uh,
butter on your crumpet?
I had butter and cheese, and it was delicious.
Oh, what
Yes,
a treat.
but I fine. Like last week was my birthday, last Thursday, and we did have, a few cocktails. And now that's enough for me. I won't have anything else till my brother's birthday, which is next month. So I do tend to generally follow, I would say, the 80-20 rule
Oh,
or
yeah.
10 rule. And, it just suits me. I know if I've eaten too much rubbish or say too much red meat, I just feel really blocked up.
Mm.
I like to feel fresh. And I think also at my age, you do feel it more.
What is the 80-20 rule for all our listeners?
So
So,
80% more whole foods, clean foods, and then 20% more of what you like, the things that you like. You
yeah.
know, foods you could say, although I don't like to look at food as good food or bad food. Food is either more or less nutritious. So 80% nutritious food, whole food, unprocessed, 20% um, processed food, if you like, and what we would call treats.
That's it. I think it's about finding that balance, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. What would you say has been your biggest source of motivation or inspiration to live this way? Because you've maintained a six pack for since like before I knew you all those years ago, and you're 52 now. Not many people, even in their 40s or 50s, have a six pack. How has this happened?
Right. Uh, well, it's still there a bit, but I also think two things: that a six pack doesn't really mean anything. It just means that you have, less body fat.
Mhm.
Some of that is genetics. Um, and sorry, what's the question?
So how have you? What's been your source of inspiration or motivation to maintain this healthy lifestyle?
I think, and I'm truly blessed in the fact that my job, I truly believe, is my calling, was my calling. I still love it to this day. Um, I'm always trying to, better myself, better my life, and it just suits me
Yeah.
like that. People like yourself and all the people that I've met, during those decades of work, are all sort of an inspiration to me. And now, as I've got older, try and be a good example to my nieces.
Mhm.
Um, I've got two brothers, but my youngest brother is the one who is paraplegic, who has been well his entire life. It's only the last couple of years he's been a bit poorly, hence why I came back. So, I just want to show my family really first that you can live the life that you want to, but you will feel better and do better if you do a few of these things. And that's it, really. I know for myself, I do better and feel better if I live this way.
Yeah, that's it. It's about living well, living healthy, not just being physical. As you said, it's not just about having a six pack. It's holistic, isn't it? It's more emotional, mental, spiritual as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I just want to live the best life that I can. Life is so hard anyway, isn't it? And I think, as a society, we do sometimes make it harder on ourselves because we're sabotaging ourselves with, various things and then wondering why your life is so hard.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. Could you share an example of any challenges that you've faced, anything that you had to overcome yourself? Did you have any negative behavioural patterns or anything that you found hard to overcome or
Of course, I've had challenges
Mm.
in my life. I had, or I still have, I have fibroids. So I had, I've always been fit and healthy, thank goodness. But when I had them and they come back,
Mm.
that whole sort of 2, 3 years was a very difficult time from the diagnosis because I left it for a while because you're scared,
Yeah.
and it was like one time I basically like just passed out from so much blood. So like, right, I've really got to go to the doctor now. I've probably got cancer, but it would be all right. That and dealing with that whole time because I had so many. I had to have some like maybe 4 months of treatment before I had the surgery. Then it was a 9 month recovery. So that was all quite difficult. And at that time, the relationship I was in was not a good relationship. So, I felt very lonely and alone at that time. But even during that time, during the surgery was the easiest bit, really. The recovery was the hardest bit. But when I had my surgery, they said to me, "Oh, you're going to be in hospital for about 10 days to 2 weeks." 3 days I was in, and that's because I was fit and healthy. Yeah.
Goodness me, that is a big turnaround from what they said to you.
Exactly. But it's things like, as you know, when you're fitter, your blood is thinner, it got easier and all this type of thing.
Mm.
So yeah, but the after that the recovery was quite difficult. And so I felt quite lonely, but came through it. Um Obviously Joe's big accident was a massive trauma for all of us, uh, something that went on for such a long time with no sort of end in sight, and we're so lucky in this country that we have three big spinal hospitals, and
Yeah.
I was closer to the hospital that Joe was allocated to than the rest of the family because I was in London. So I would see him a lot, a lot, a lot, which was great. But yeah, that whole thing, of course it was mainly traumatic for him, horrendous for him, but being part of it and on the sidelines, well, not really on the sidelines, was awful.
Yeah.
So that was very challenging, but that did give me some real perspective on life because, you just don't know what's going to happen and when. And at that point, as I said, I was in that job, half transitioned out, but was still working it.
Yeah.
It's like, right, I'm not doing that anymore. And then I just stopped.
Wow. So that
Mm,
was a real push that,
yeah,
you kind of needed to get to
yeah,
where you
absolutely.
are.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's quite often the case, isn't it, in life? That something will either happen to you or to someone close to you, and it really gives you that perspective that's like, oh shit, like I'm alive now. I have to take action now.
absolutely. I think it's so easy for us to just stay, in our comfort zone.
Yeah.
If you think that's one reason, well, I know why, people have this Monday, especially working people, we're all working, Monday to Friday lifestyle, and then they just go out and get smashed on the weekends because inherently they're unhappy in their work and we're at work most of the time. So then you're spending most of your time actually unhappy or bored and frustrated. I actually just had a new job, which I had for 4 months. And I left because I was like, no, this is just not the one.
Is that the one you were saying when we spoke before about the people around you? They were
Yes.
very negative, and you found that was starting to impact you. Maybe, if you could share something of that, because I think that's so impactful, our environment that we put ourselves in.
Yes. Well, I think prior to that job, which I just started when I came back to the UK, prior to that, self-employed for, most of my working life, working either on my own or with people like yourself who actually love their job and this and that. And then I did this not a little care job, was a support worker for young men with learning disabilities. That was amazing. And I learned so much about a world I knew nothing about. None of my friends have learning disabilities. We have none of that in our family. So I didn't know anything about it. So that was great. It really opened my eyes. But the people that I was working with were not all of them, but a majority of them, I would say, were, as I've just said, lazy, frustrated, bored, and were just there for the paycheck. And I started to find, because anything I do, I want to do it well.
Yeah.
That's how I am. So we all had little jobs to do, and I would do them all because they were so small, you could actually do them.
Yeah.
Um, and I would expect, if I'm going to do this for you, you're going to do something for me, but that's not how everyone thinks. And, I found that I was sick twice in 2 months, and prior to that, I hadn't been sick in 6 years. I wasn't sleeping well, mouth full of cold sores, and I would just wake up just thinking about, oh God, I've got to go to work. I've never ever felt like that in my life, complaining to my family. And then I just thought, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Why? It's not like they were paying me thousands of pounds a week or anything. And it was just like, what is the benefit of this job? I've always been a hard worker, so I knew I could get another job if I wanted to quickly. So I just gave my notice and left.
Yeah, it really goes to show your environment and people who you surround yourself with really influence you.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I said to my brother yesterday, I'm sure you've heard this, that we become the sum of the 5 people we spend our time with.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. What made me leave, it was one day and I was just fuming because, 3 of my colleagues had sat down for 6.5 hours, 6.5 hours, imagine, on a work day, sat there, just done nothing. I said, why are you getting so angry? Why don't you just sit down like them? And I thought, no, that's it. I have to leave now. And I gave my notice in, the very next day. And when I spoke to my brothers, they were like, no, sis, that's not you. And I'm not, you know. So, yeah, I left.
That's a really, really important point that you made there of self-awareness, because you had that momentary thought of
Yeah,
joining them,
Yes,
And because you are blessed with that level of self-awareness that you thought that is not me,
mm,
and I imagine how many people fall into that trap of just fitting in.
totally. Yeah, because we all, don't we? Basically, we all want to, but we are not meant to fit in everywhere,
No.
and you shouldn't change yourself to fit into, whatever situation, be it a workplace or a relationship, friends. But I also think that awareness comes with, age and experience. When you're young, when I look at my beautiful nieces now, they are 18 and 19, especially the oldest one wants to fit in everywhere
Yeah.
because we're like that at that age. So yes, that awareness, but I think that just comes with age, really.
Yeah, life experience as well, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah. Do you have any morning routine that you do? Like, are you part of the 5 a.m. club, or do you do anything specific?
I get up, not 5 a.m. I love it in the morning, but not so much now I'm back in the UK. I have to say,
It's different.
lovely. The sun is rising
Mm.
here, but no, I'm an early morning person. So even now I'm not working full time. I'm normally up by 7.
Yeah.
I will get up, I'll have my hot water and lemon, and I will do my walk, either outside or because it's winter here, obviously, I've been doing Walk Fit on YouTube, which is fantastic. I
Amazing.
Yes,
I love that so much. You can
yes,
get so many steps in, can't you?
yeah, exactly. So I do that. But yeah, I've been doing that basically, and then by the time I've done that, I'll do a little stretch as well, mobility. I've noticed as I've got older, the mobility is so important, and then I'm ready for my day.
Then you're ready. Yay. Amazing. What would you say to women? Because I know you specialize in people over the age of 40, and obviously you're 52 yourself, and you're very good at looking after yourself. What would you give, what advice would you give to those people who are in their late 30s, coming to 40s, coming to 50s? What would be the best bit of advice?
Um, if you aren't doing any, and I do think it's so important, any sort of regular movement, you need to start now. And it's not about what we've said about getting super fit or getting a six pack or, a bum up by you know, I truly believe if you exercise regularly, you will live longer. I truly believe that. If you don't get knocked down by a bus. Nothing, but anyway,
You
but
can't
I
plan for that.
yes, and um, exercise just is so much more than just your body. That body and mind are one, aren't they? If you look after your body, you will look after your mind. If you look after your mind, it's going to change how you view yourself. You're going to feel better about yourself. If you feel better about yourself, the way you view the world and society will be different as well.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that we project into society is to do about how we feel about ourselves.
Yes.
But if you're feeling, as confident as you can, we don't all feel confident and good and happy every day, of course not.
No.
But generally, if you have that more upbeat mood and are sure of yourself, you're sure of your place in society and you treat people better.
Yeah. How can people get that? Do you have any techniques that people can use to develop it?
I think it takes time, really. It's not something, well, some people are naturally just born with it. I'm one of those people. But it's like anything. If you want to improve any part of your life, research it, study it a little bit. You're not got to go in depth, but, there's so much free stuff out there. Take some time to look after yourself. And with regards to what you said a few minutes ago about any tips I have for ladies over 40, all of that, it's all about taking care of yourself,
Yeah.
basically, mentally and spiritually as well as physically. Get yourself on YouTube, have a look. Um, I first started doing that. My brother got me into it, actually. I think after his accident, of course, he had such a big change in his life and he needed some guidance and things. And I think they started doing it there. And he was like, Suze, you really should listen to this man. And that was Tony Robbins.
Yes.
Um,
The main man.
I love Les Brown
Yeah.
and Nichols, they're my ones, and Rob Dial. They all do free stuff. If your attention span isn't that long, there's shorts for 30 seconds, or you can listen to something for an hour, whatever suits you.
Yeah, you know,
And that I remember thinking, if it's good enough, every single successful person that all of us like, follow, etc., they all do it. So I used to think, if it's good enough for Michelle Obama, it's good enough for me. Definitely.
yes, I just had a memory of being in the gym in Saudi and you were training there and I was having a bit of a down in the dumps day and you suggested Tony Robbins to me.
Oh,
Yeah, and
really?
that set me off on a whole journey. Tony Robbins, Les Brown, everyone, like, honestly, I've just had that memory just flash back to me.
Everyone thinks the same thing. We're all like down on ourselves sometimes and think, oh my God, I'm just the worst person ever. Has those thoughts. And I was listening to your podcast last week, which was great, by the way. And, the lady you were talking to, you were talking about this sort of thing, and she said something about business and believing in yourself. My coach, Christy, who's amazing, she has like a multi-million-dollar business. She said to us in our coaching group how she still feels like that, gets that imposter syndrome and this and that. And she has some health challenges herself at the moment. And she was doing some work with Jack Canfield.
Okay.
And she said to him, "Did you invite me because, I'm not well at the moment?" And he was like, "Of course not. I invited you because you're absolutely fantastic at what you do." So even the people who we think, "Oh my God, they're amazing," they always look so confident, but they have exactly the same thoughts as we do.
Yeah.
They just ignore it and carry on.
Is that what you do when you have those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Do you say to yourself, stop it now?
Okay, totally, because we all have that voice.
Yeah.
And quieting that voice and just moving forward anyway, best you can.
Yeah, that's it. I think for me, I like to give her a name.
Oh, that's good. What's her name?
Gertrude. I say, shut up, Gertrude.
Uh, name mine. I'll get back to you.
Give her a name. I think it's good for those moments when you're really struggling. Like, if you name it, it makes it a bit less serious.
And Gertrude, doesn't she sound like all snippy and snipey?
She's a bit of a sniper.
Yeah,
I'm like, shut the fuck up, Gertrude.
I love that. I'm going to share it with my friends.
You've got to think of a name now. Oh my gosh. But then, it's like that balance. So we all get times where we feel that I don't know, darkness or that imposter syndrome or whatever it is that we feel. We all feel those emotions. But then it's the ability to also feel joy and feel happiness because those times come too.
Also to celebrate yourself when, which we don't do enough, when you are feeling good or you've done, doesn't need to be anything that you've done. You might have just got up and gone for a walk or found a top that you love and put it on with some bright lipstick. It's like, yeah, I feel great today. Look at me. I'm fabulous. We need to do that more for ourselves. We always do it for our friends.
Mhm.
We don't do it. We rarely do it for ourselves.
Why do you think that is?
I think because we are conditioned, possibly, to, oh God, don't think too much yourself. Don't big yourself up like that. We've always been, especially as women, I think, you have to just be accepting and it's fine and don't show out too much. But I don't know why we've been conditioned like that, but I feel it's changing a bit now, and even if you, and I message my nieces, I call them beauty and beautiful and that all the time. So I want them to think that, to instill that in them, you know. So yeah, I just think it's how we've been conditioned, really. It's a society thing, but I do think it's changing a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's more awareness, isn't
Mm,
there? Put
yeah.
on to mental health and emotional health and wellness.
Yes, definitely.
And it's not selfish to have me time.
Exactly. It's necessary.
Yeah, we need it.
It could be, in the, well, as when you're, quite a bit younger than me, but in the 60s and 70s, it was all about basically the women at home um, taking Valium to have that, perfect life, but they're distraught inside.
Yeah.
And then in the 80s, it was all about that, work, 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 never sleep, work. These people are just as distraught. And now, we're finding some kind of balance, which is good, needed. And, it's okay if you don't feel okay. But if you do feel okay, it's also okay to say, I'm feeling great today, have a great day and all that.
That's it. I think there's that, it can come with that guilt, can't it? When you are having a good day, you can feel like, oh, but other people are having a bad time. Maybe I shouldn't celebrate that
Mm.
I feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's about finding your circle as
Mm.
well and having those few friends who, will celebrate with you because there's always someone having a bad day. If it's
Yeah.
not you, if it's not us, it'll be someone else.
Yeah.
And you can't, dim your light or be down. Of course, we could be empathetic, but we can't oh my God, there's all this going on,
Mm.
blah, blah, blah. I've got to be down as well. If not, again, we don't progress. And it's a cycle of life. It's, we have to be down sometimes so we can be up sometimes.
That's it. It's
Mm.
that balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the hard times really allow you to appreciate the good times.
Exactly. Exactly that, Emily. Yes.
Yeah, and it's too easy to get stuck, especially in negativity. I think it's harder to get stuck in positivity because it comes, but then it does go. But with negativity, I think there's a lot of outside influence that can impact us.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely. And, I think, I don't know what, I think a lot of it again is society
Yeah.
because not everyone, but generally, a lot of people are generally unhappy with their lot.
Yeah.
Media wants us to be unhappy with our lot and government generally, so then they can control us. I don't know if it's getting a bit deep now.
I like it. Carry on.
you know, people, for some people, if you're feeling down or negative, to share your negativity with someone else, it's easy, misery loves company, doesn't it?
Mhm.
And it's, oh yeah, God, I've had a terrible day. Oh, I've had an awful day. Oh God, this. Oh God, that. And everyone sort of commiserates together.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is much easier to stay in negativity, but it doesn't, it makes us sick and ill.
Yeah.
So we have to, get out of it as much as we can and find the light within ourselves
Mm.
and within society because it is there.
Yeah, it
Really.
is. And that comes back to what we were saying, what you were saying at the start about being grateful for having a good night's sleep, having a comfy bed, having some legs, having a pair of legs,
Yeah,
looking through your own eyes, being able to breathe on your own.
absolutely, totally. And I think that just comes with self-awareness, really, Emily.
Yeah.
Some people, a lot of us, and I'm not saying God, I do have a lot of down days and like, oh my God, this and that, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but maybe because of Joe's accident, that just opened my eyes at a young age
Yeah.
to being thankful for the little things, basically. And
God.
once you do that, then everything else is really okay.
That's it. And that is really the basis of happiness, is being thankful for those little things that you do currently have. Like,
Yes.
you can still want and you can still strive because we all have goals of some sort. Some people's goals are, up here, some people's goals are, down here, and that's fine. If that's
Yeah.
what's going to make you happy. But I think it comes down to practicing that gratitude. Like, okay, I'm grateful that I have a house, I have a roof over my head, I have central heating.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. But it's hard like anything like we said, though, it takes practice.
Yeah.
And when you are in, a dark space, I know it's hard to see out of that.
Yeah, it is.
Really do your best. That's all we can all do. That's what I think.
How would people get out of it? How would you get out of it if you were in a
Um, I think you have to have a circle. It doesn't need to be a big circle. It might just be one friend, two friends. You know, someone that you can uh, talk to directly and honestly.
Mhm.
And if you don't have a good friend, you could do that with, you need to find someone. Um, you know, it might be some
Yeah.
therapy, and there's
Yeah.
lots. I know people always say, "Oh, yeah, but they money, blah blah blah." people have money to spend on things they want to spend it on.
Yeah.
And also, again, you can find, there is free therapy online.
Yeah.
You might need to then pay to get a bit more, but it's if you want to get out of it, and then after a while, if you're sick of feeling negative and dark, you will make the choice to do something about it and find.
Yeah.
But I'm lucky. I have a couple of good friends who I can talk to about anything. And when my brother was ill again recently, as I said, that's one reason why I came home, and I was obviously in Saudi. That was an awful, awful time. I would speak to her literally probably every single day, and also tapping. I'm sure tapping.
But for our listeners, tell us
So
what it is.
emotional freedom technique or something like that.
Yeah.
Way tapping basically, I knew nothing about it until about 3 or 4 years ago during COVID. My good friend who I said that's what I speak to, she has been doing it for years. So basically, it's just tapping on certain points of your body. Generally, it's around your face and around on your chest, which mimics certain meridians, which for people who don't know is sort of pressure points.
Yeah.
So I think of it like acupuncture, but you're just tapping with your fingers. And I think it's amazing, absolutely amazing. When Joe was really sick and I hadn't slept in, like a month, and I would be walking around the compound at 5 a.m. in the morning, so I couldn't sleep. That was the only thing that sort of calmed me down a little bit. And anytime I feel stressed now, I do a little bit. Even as much as I go to the dentist, I will do, because it's sort of invasive, and I want to do it on my forehead in the dentist, but I do it on my wrist. And it calms you. So I really recommend that to anyone. Just try it. I think just try these things. You've got nothing to lose.
Oh, exactly. And it's just taking that bold step to change.
Yeah.
Because it is hard, I think, when you're in a really low place, it's hard to get out of it because you can easily get stuck in that cycle, and you keep dragging yourself back down again. To take that bold step to be like, right, I need to get well again. I need to be happy. It's a brave, vulnerable, tricky thing to do.
Absolutely. And it's not easy at all. Like I say, it's very hard, very hard. Hence why I think a lot of people don't do it.
That's it. Because it's
Yeah.
easier to stay the same. But there's that quote, you've probably heard of this: the pain of staying the same is worse than the pain of change.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that's one of Tony's, isn't it?
Good old Tony.
Tony, Emily is fantastic. She's a podcast.
No, come on. If he's listening. There was something that you said before, though, about people only spend money on the things that they want to, and that is so true. And it all ties into this, because people spend money on Netflix subscriptions, on their iPhone, on cigarettes, on alcohol, on makeup, and that's a choice.
Yes, absolutely. And we all like those things. And at the moment, I am not, I left a very lucrative job in Saudi. I don't have that job here at all. I'm just doing a few hours work a week.
Yeah.
So my income is, 75% less than what it was out there. But frankly, I do have my family. I have to say that. So, I'm not paying rent at the moment, blah, blah, blah. But, my outgoings have shrunk so much because I have to be so careful now with what I spend. And things like my mentoring and that are important to me because I've done them now for a while. So I want to continue with that.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can't afford to do my manicures and pedicures now. And that's okay because I was a beauty therapist. I could do them myself. But like people will spend the things they think are important. If it's important for you, you will make and find the money for it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going out like I was because I want to use my money now on things which are going to, I think, benefit me. Rather, it doesn't matter if my nails aren't done; they're not going to benefit. Yeah, it looks pretty, but it's not going to make any big difference to my life.
Yeah.
Whereas my coaching, having Christy, paying that money does actually make a difference to my life and my business. So yes,
I think
and
that's
expensive. They're like
yeah.
£50 a packet or something.
Bloody hell.
Like, damn, last weekend, because my birthday, my friend said, "Oh, go and get me some cigarettes," because I was getting top up for everyone. We were getting more bubbles and this and that. I was like, "Why is it so expensive?" And he given me the receipt, £16.37.
You're joking.
Christ,
Goodness me. That is a lot
isn't
of
it?
money to go up in smoke.
Yeah, exactly. That's perfect. Very
So
yes,
clever though.
yes.
Do you think it's important to invest in a coach?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you need to invest. It depends. Everybody needs coaching.
Mm.
Everybody of some sort. I remember the first course that I did was, it might have been free or it was something like £10. It was 28 days. This was during lockdown actually. Um, it was looking at your finances, your physical health, your mental health, blah, 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 blah. And I remember, yes, posting at the time to my friends that, yeah, everybody needs coaches because, we are not taught. Our parents can only teach us as much as they know. In school, we're not really taught about spirituality and well-being. I wasn't taught about finances at all at school. I know that. I was taught about geography and humanities and, these subjects.
Yeah.
It would have been far more helpful to me to learn about finances rather than learn about how plants pollinate or whatever we did back. So yeah, I do think everyone needs a coach because no one is perfect. Perfection doesn't exist anyway,
Yeah.
and we the struggles in our lives. And as we said earlier, it's all about making your life easier.
Mhm.
And someone can point you in a direction which you're not even aware of, and you're like, oh yes, of course. If I did this, my life would be easier. Basically, doesn't mean you're going to do it. This gives you the awareness.
I think that's
Yeah,
the first step is the awareness.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Stage one of the many
Mm.
steps that you have to take.
And from that stage one, it's not like then 2, 3, 4, 5. It might be 1, 2, back to 1,
Yeah.
1 to 9, back to 1 again. We're always off, but that's okay. At least we're trying to move forward.
Yeah. It is the trying, isn't it? And it comes back to that progress over perfection.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you start working on yourself, you've got your good gym routine, you're eating healthy, your kids get sick, everything goes to shit. Okay,
Yeah.
you start again, then your nana dies, you start again. Like, always something happens, always.
Yeah, and that is life as well.
Mhm.
That you have to accept. It's not like, I started this journey. We're talking about gym now.
Yeah.
I'm going to be going 4 times a week for an hour and a half for the rest of my life. Of course you're not. Of course you're not. But it doesn't mean that when that roadblock comes that they say, oh my God, it's all over now. I can never start again. I'm never going back again. Because that's also just as unrealistic.
Yeah.
Life, and it's all about how we navigate it. And yeah, then get back on and we go again.
That's it. Do you think people get stuck when life happens, when things do happen, which they always do? People get stuck and it's like, oh, I'll start on Monday. Oh, no, I'll start on the first of the month. I'll start New Year. And then they put things off until this perfect ultimate date. It doesn't exist.
Exactly. So they never get started. Exactly that, Amy. So
Yeah.
they never started. Yeah. So you have to, learn to just navigate. Just do it.
Hmm.
There's a reason why that tagline is the most popular tagline and the most known tagline in the world,
Yeah.
because there's no perfect time. Just start with
Start.
whatever
Yeah.
you do. Read one that I've got here right in front of me, my little book of affirmations.
Amazing. Love it.
Like £3 or something. And I'll just open it, not even every day. When I've noticed it, pick it up, read something, put it back. There, done. It's not like it's a whole big 90-minute lesson on being the perfect person that I've just listened to.
I don't think that even exists, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's the dangers of people sharing things online is that it's always very aesthetically pleasing and it's always perfect. When in reality, even the people who may look perfect still have insecurities, flaws, emotions, shit happening in their life. Maybe
Absolutely.
they don't talk about.
Yeah, totally. And, as adults, with a brain, we need to realize that,
Yeah.
and you are basing your life off what you're seeing your favorite influencer doing. That's an issue right there, really, I think, because their life isn't perfect and you're just setting yourself up to fail, basically, because your life is never going to be like the highlight that they're showing you.
Yeah,
So,
because it
we
doesn't
need
exist.
this.
It's not there. Right, we're going to wrap it up with some quick fire questions now. So I'm going to be really quick. Okay, so the first one is, do you have any daily rituals?
Yes. My walking, my lemon water, my affirmations.
I love that so much. I think walking is it's underrated, isn't it? Because walking is incredible.
First thing you do about your door is just like you just take a nice deep breath, don't you? And
Yeah.
bring that oxygen to your mind. You're feeling more awake. You're feeling clear. Yeah. And
Definitely. Right, next one. Describe what wellness means to you.
oh, wellness mean wellness to me means feeling strong, physically, mentally, and emotionally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I strive for. That's what I want for everyone.
That leads me on to my next message. Do you have a message you would like to send to our listeners or any top tips?
Well, that's two things.
Or just
Top,
one?
no, that's okay. Top tips, I would say, and message, yeah, make some time for yourself, which I know sounds so easy, especially if you've got kids and a job and, looking after maybe aging parents. But remember, this is my top tip. I'm always saying we cannot pour from an empty cup. You have to find that time for yourself. Even that means saying no to something to your nearest and dearest. You have to fill yourself up first. It might just be with that walk. It might just going to meet your friend for that coffee. So you feel more energized and then you can do your 100 million other tasks that you do for everybody else. Make time for yourself. Fill your own cup first.
That is the most important message, I think, from this episode. We've drilled into our listeners now. Make time for yourself, guys. Where can people reach you? Do you have Instagram?
I do. So yeah, I'm on Instagram, Susan Body Tonics. Yeah, so I am there. Feel free to message me any of your health, wellness questions, and I will do my best to answer them for you.
And I'll link that down in the show notes below.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan, for giving us your time, for coming on the podcast.
Oh, it's been great. Thank you. And really well done to you, Emily. You should be
Oh,
celebrate Emily.
oh, thank you. And to all our listeners, don't forget to celebrate yourself and make sure you all tune in next week for the next conversation.